Howdy, Autobots and Decepticons alike. I am back for my weekly Transformers reveal, and today's character, like I said last time, we're getting into the nitty-gritty of my favorite characters as we run up to the end here. Although I do have some more on their way, but they're also some of my favorites as well. Maybe not quite as favorite as this guy and what we got going forward, but they're still in that range of being my favorites. But today's character is one of my favorites of all time. He's just a little guy, but he's got big bravado for being such a little guy, and he tends to get himself into hot water from time to time. Without further ado, let's bring out the Autobot, Cliff Jumper. Now, Cliff Jumper is a smaller character. He's more in the same range of size as like a Bumblebee and a Beachcomber, those kinds of characters. Considered in the first Transformers toy line, G1 line, a microbot, one of the really simple transforms. And he was the exact same mold as Bumblebee, except the contours of the car were a bit different, because whereas Bumblebee was a Volkswagen Beetle, Cliff Jumper is some sort of Porsche, a 924, 944, somewhere in that range. And this X-Transbots toy actually has a really good representation of that Porsche. Now, in terms of Cliff Jumper's character, for being such a small guy, like I said, he was very much big in his own mind. Cliff Jumper had a really big grudge against the Decepticons. He was one of the original Autobots that came down on the Ark, and as soon as Teletran 1 reanimated everybody, brought them out of stasis, all he wanted to do was kick Decepticon ass. And with that single purpose in mind, he would often not see the big picture and rush into battle and maybe make a bad decision and bring about destruction on his own part or failure for his Autobot team as a whole because of his rash actions. Now, that being said, he's also very loyal to the Autobot cause on the other side of it, right? So it's kind of, you take the good with the bad sort of thing, right? So, and Cliff Jumper, you'll see in this upcoming clip kind of that need to rush into action against all other consequences, but then the chagrin on the other side once he fails and kind of, oh, sorry about that. And also, he's so dedicated to the Autobot cause that if he sees other Autobots not pulling their weight or maybe not as dedicated as he is, he's the first one to call them out and say, like, what's your problem? Don't you hate the Decepticons too? Don't you want to win this war and whatever? And many Autobots over the years kind of suffered his wrath, even if it was unfounded. You know, not everybody's as gung-ho as Cliff Jumper, right? So he didn't necessarily have the right to call them out like that, but that's just the way he is. So in this video clip, you will see, actually, this is the first episode of the series, the opening episode, and you'll see Cliff Jumper in his first bit of action as he travels alongside Hound to go scope out what the Decepticons are up to, and maybe bites off a bit more than he can chew. So let it roll.
This new planet is rich with sources of energy, but the Decepticons must know this too. So we must find them and stop them. Hound?
Right here, Prime.
Scout the area. See if you can locate the Decepticons.
Just turn me loose, Prime. I'll sniff them out.
I'm going too. I want to boot some Decepticon right in his turbocharger.
Easy, Cliff Jumper. Just find them. We'll deal with them later. Good luck.
It's a lot different than Cybertron out here.
Don't fall in love with it, Hound. We won't be staying that long.
You smell something, Cliff Jumper?
No?
I do. I think we just found the Decepticons. Follow me. I was right.
Let's get down there and bend some metal.
Ease off your throttle, Cliff Jumper. Remember what Prime said. Just find them.
What are they doing?
Let's find out.
I will plunder Earth and steal its precious resources. We can concentrate the energy into energon cubes and store them in the new space cruiser. How ironic! By leading us to this planet, the Autobots have sealed their own doom.
Cliff Jumper, what are you doing?
I've got Megatron dead center in my viewfinder.
Who could be firing at us? Who even knows we're here? The Autobots. Impossible. They're the only ones. Soundwave, send Laserbeak to investigate. Laserbeak, prepare for flight. Course heading northeast.
Now you've done it.
Let's burn rubber. What is that thing up there?
I don't know, but we can't seem to shake it.
Let's split up. It can't follow both of us.
Right. At least one of us will get back to Prime. Accelerator down. Eat my dust, bird brain.
You couldn't hit an Autobot with a moonbeam. Try this. It's a gas.
You don't give up, do you?
The Transformers will return after these messages. We now return to the Transformers.
Where'd they get you?
I think it's my drivetrain.
Can you transform?
I don't think so.
I'm sorry, Han. It's my fault. I shouldn't have fired on Megatron.
You shouldn't have missed, you mean?
Huh? Yeah, right! Holler! Pull him up!
So that kind of illustrated, you know, Cliff Jumper's brashness as he takes a shot at Megatron, misses, and then brings about Hound's grave injuries, and he's like, oh yeah, bad decision, sorry Hound, right? So you can see kind of the whole gamut of Cliff Jumper's kind of character there. Now, one cool aspect of Cliff Jumper is his voice in the original Transformers cartoon was done by Casey Kasem, who was like a radio personality, had a very distinct voice, and Casey Kasem actually quit the show, I believe is how it went, when later on in the series when they did a storyline that took place in the Middle East, and the nation they made up, a made up nation obviously, because it was called Carbomia. So he took exception to the whole Middle East, I don't know what you call, stereotype with the name and everything like that. And if my story is right, that caused him to quit the show and no longer do Cliff Jumper's voice. So just a little fun fact for you there. Now, let's have a look at Cliff Jumper's G1 toy. As you can see, if you remember Bumblebee's video many months and months ago, maybe years ago at this point, very exact same kind of mold, just different contours of the body and very simple transformation. You just pull the wheels out of the side, those are his arms. You pull the hood down and flip the feet up, those are his legs, and then his head just flips up at the very back of the car. It's very simple, very easy, but very iconic. Cliff Jumper, to me at least, was a very iconic character. Bumblebee got so much more of the love for them being such similar types of characters, but to me, I really like Cliff Jumper better. He was kind of one of my very favorites of the whole Autobot roster. So, but this one looks bootylicious. When I saw this on eBay, when I first ordered it, and I saw like the Porsche that he transforms into, I was like, oh my god, I can't wait to get him. And he was kind of more of a recent release, so I had to wait, years to kind of get him. So now X-Transbots, I always seem to have trouble with their transformations. So I'm assuming with the size of the box, he's going to be in robot mode when I take him out of here. I really hope he's in car mode, so I just have to do the transformation once, and it will ultimately be successful. But let's open this up, and we will find out for sure. Here we go with Cliffjumper, or Toro, as he has been dubbed here. He was voiced by The Rock in one of the later cartoons, like the more recent ones, so maybe that's where the Toro comes from, right? Toro, the Brahma Bull. Jesus. At least we know he has not been opened. Yeah, when I opened up Warpath's box last week and I saw that he was in tank mode to start, I was like, oh, thank Christ. Right? Because it's so much easier to transform them from vehicle mode into robot mode versus the other way around. And I like him in robot mode, so that means I only have to do that transformation once. So I'm really hoping for car mode here, but I have a feeling it's robot. Okay, so as per the usual, we got an instruction booklet. Oh, Jesus, Murphy. Instruction booklet, character card, and let's see. Car mode. He seems really small. He seems like really, really small. Oh, and his light's discolored. What the hell's that all about? But anyways, he does look pretty cool. Like, look at that Porsche, right? He's got these little staffs or whatever for beatdowns, and then he's got this. I think this goes under. It was like an episode where they were like traveling across water and they had these pontoons. I think you can like put this under him and he kind of has like pontoons instead, sort of thing. But I'm not going to do that because it's probably going to be too hard. So I'm just going to simply transform him into robot mode and see what he looks like. So far everything's looking pretty cool. It's just after opening characters like Warpath, who's such a big tank, and other characters like that, he looks so small right now. But I'm sure Bumblebee is about that size too when he's in car mode. So I'm sure I've just been used to all these bigger characters lately, so this is looking very small. But I'm sure it's all going to be okay, and he just looks fantastic. Look at that Porsche. Mwah. So there we have it. The small but mighty Cliffjumper. Like I said, he seems so small compared to some of the other bots that I've done lately. But looking at him, yeah, he looks exactly the same size as Bumblebee. So I think everything is perfectly represented here. And he does look really good. He's a good looking bot. And it was a fairly easy transformation. I didn't really have any parts where I struggled. And I guess you might get that with a smaller robot where there's less steps and stuff like that. But he transformed really easily. He seems very solidly put together. And like I said, it's just like his face looks exactly like it should. Like everything here looks just like Cliffjumper should in a modern kind of representation of him from the G1 cartoon. So I am very happily pleased with this one, and had a lot of fun with him because, like I said, he is one of my favorite characters. And as we get into these final ones, I'm probably just going to get more and more excited as we move on. But this was a fun day, a fun bot. Can't wait to put him on the shelf. I've got a spot reserved for him right beside Bumblebee, of course. And looking forward to next week. We just ramped the action up a little bit more. One that I'm looking forward to even more than Cliffjumper. So can't wait for that. Until then, stay frosty. Or not frosty, depending where you live. Here, I don't want to be frosty anymore. I'm done with being frosty.